Already. Hello. Thank you. Yeah, it's a big honor. Experiencing technical difficulties. Already.
All right, and we are live again. Sorry about that. So started the broadcast and I muted myself. So we're just gonna go back through that whole intro again from scratch. We got a brand new.
Already.
Oh, here we go. Let me see. I actually can hear myself now. So we got a
I
new.
mean, it's good.
Yeah, thank you. Technical difficulties every week, but we're working through it. We're figuring it out. But anyways, we got a brand new guest on the channel, local player Owen, who is joining us today, and he is up and coming player on his way to 2,000 over the board, but already well over that strength online with a peak rating 2371, so very impressive.
Thank
He
you.
also has his own YouTube channel, Lifting Chess. Check that out, where he analyzes some of his own games and also has some content around his weightlifting hobby. Yeah, let's go ahead and review the results again since I was muted.
All
Open
right.
section, Thomas Hayden took it down 4-0. So Thomas showing very strong tactics, especially, and playing again in open section this month. So definitely got to watch out for and see if anyone can even take a half a point off him this month. Premier section, we had Connor kind of clutch it out in the final round, must win with black, and made it happen. Nathan also had a very strong tournament, starting 3-0 up until his encounter with Connor. So what ultimately kind of was a battle between them on that final day, and Connor made it happen. And we see they're both playing again this month, so looking forward to that. As well as we have some returning players who have won some past tournaments, such as Miles. So going to be a very strong tournament this month.
Yeah, exciting.
Perfect. And yeah, and Owen's controlling the boards, and I'm doing the kind of additional commentary. So yeah, let's get started. Games have been going
Oh,
on since 6:30, so we're 2 hours into them. We got a lot of content already here, and we're gonna see how these games shaped out.
Already, we're all ready.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna start with the board number one, Connor versus Joshua. So Joshua, a good buddy of mine. He is very hard to beat. It's He's really good at swindles. So let's see how that's going for him. So French. I already know this game is going to be pretty interesting. So 4d5, classic French, and the Rubenstein. That's that's bold for over the board because this is just known to be better for white. What are your thoughts on that, Chris? If we're just
Yeah,
gonna quick talk about opening.
I'll actually have some experience now because I play Teresh 92, so transposes to this, and yeah, um, it's if he knows his stuff, can potentially equalize for sure. If White really knows their stuff, can get into a bit of trouble. I seem to get a lot of good games by playing knight takes f6. They almost always develop knight f6, or they usually do.
Mm-hmm.
Knight takes f6, queen takes f6, and I usually play like knight f3, threatening bishop g5, and they'll play h6 usually.
This is
And
all
then
theory.
I don't know really. This is my blitz games, and I play
I
bishop d3 usually because I like the idea of protecting the pawn tactically. And then a lot of them want to play b6, bishop b7, and if they still do that anyways, you play bishop b4, and they get really messed up. So I'm not saying I'm some expert, but yeah, I feel like they're playing with fire for sure.
Yeah, I actually used to play this as black, so I played Rubenstein a bunch before I swapped to more like traditional fighting systems. But yeah, no, generally H6, and then I stopped playing it exactly because the idea you're talking about this Bishop D3, Bishop E4, and there was just none of the French like tactical interplay. This kind of just turned into black having less space and just pieces being a bit more cramped. So that's why I stopped playing it. But that's why they didn't go into it, I suppose. So like Joshua played Bishop D7. It's not quite mainline, but it's a pretty well known variation. The
But
idea is pretty sneaky.
I know what's going on
So
here. Josh had Dane as a coach, right?
mhm,
Yeah, so Dane plays Fort Knox, so Josh learned Fort Knox from Dane.
that makes more sense. Okay. So yeah, the idea is to actually put the bishop on c6, which kind of breaks the traditional opening rules of like you don't want to move a piece twice, but because the knight is unprotected in the center, it actually has quite a bit of merit because it gains tempo. So it's a solid system. Knight f3, bishop c6, bishop d3, all main line. Knight d7 and bishop f4. So I don't think I've ever seen bishop f4 before. That's got to be. It looks like he's not thinking on his own. This might be some prep because this is a move that I've almost never seen by
Yeah,
white.
I don't know if it's prep though, because I feel like, and I'm shocked that Connor doesn't know how to punish this directly,
Mm-hmm.
because to my knowledge, instead of playing bishop f4, you just play knight g3 at a certain point, or I'm not sure if it's
Well, you castle
exactly.
first.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
castle. Yeah,
yeah,
you finish development, and then you play. And they'll even yeah, now you play knight g3 because you don't want to allow piece trades, and now black is almost obligated to play bishop takes f3 soon. They can play. I
yeah.
think they develop their bishop. You play queen e2, and then they have to play bishop takes f3, and so then it's like, okay, this is why the opening really makes no sense, because I mean white has to know what they're doing. They have to know about knight g3, pulling their piece, which is a classy idea that you pretty much have to study because you're.
Well,
Go ahead.
yes and no. I'd just say no because if you follow the principle of the side with more space shouldn't trade, like in a French, it's generally pretty, like agreed. The French gives better endgames, right? So classy, but also if you know like the ideas of the structure, then I think that move would come easily-ish to stronger player. Just
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I
as
think
an
it's findable for that exact reason. But that's you know, not everyone knows avoid all peace trades. And I'd say. it's not even totally obvious to everyone that you're going to have a huge space advantage here. I mean, you kind of already got a space advantage when they played D4 a little bit because, I mean, that's not necessarily total space advantage, but I guess that is a central pawn. But you definitely got some development out of that at least, because they spent a pawn move taking to take his mistake, and that also is what kind of leads to some of this initiative. But the funny part is, one of my coaches made a point on one of the on the whole thing too that just says it makes no real sense. It makes sense when if you know the opening well because they play bishop takes f3 and they already are planning to do that.
Well, I'm pretty sure you go bishop e7 first, but I don't think the idea is the same. Like,
Yeah, bishop
but
e7, queen e2, and then bishop f3. So they know they're going to do that.
exactly.
But if they weren't going to do that, the only real plan they'd have is to play b6, bishop b7, c5. And then you can
Yeah.
imagine why this is like totally nonsensical. You're going to play bishop d7, bishop c6, b6, bishop b7, c5. Just play c5 just to start in your opening. Is kind of, I think, the attitude of, positional minded player. And c5 really is, I'd say, it is kind of, I think it is a bit anti-positional to block your c pawn because that's what you need to break down.
Yeah, because you're not exactly going to get an e5 break anytime soon, so you have to go c5 logically. So yeah, it just doesn't really make much sense.
But
And
we're
and then
agonizing,
you're just giving
and
up the bishop.
it's still fine enough, and openings don't matter. Openings don't totally decide games. But yeah, I'd say Fort Knox is a bit exploitable, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, for sure. And the players did not go into this because Connor avoids all that and just says, "Nah, bishop f4. It's just develop.
Yeah.
Not getting any high class theory battle." So Joshua blitzes out knight gf6, and then we have queen e2. Um, I feel like my instinct would probably still be knight g3 or maybe knight f6 here. Because in this case, when you go knight f6, they don't really have a good way to deal with it, and then you can probably still like go c4 or something. Like, example of like knight takes, and then maybe castles, and it looks like I get we're trading off pieces, but it's way more normal, and this just looks really like aesthetically good, and this knight isn't doing too much besides maybe controlling this, but
Yeah, you just fixed that 97 though, which felt like a terrible piece. Just staring at squares controlled by d4.
maybe. Um, but whatever. Queen e2, very logical. I wonder if he's trying to castle queenside and just like
Huh.
full.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked with
Yeah.
Connor. Um, yeah, I wonder
All
how that would
right.
really play out because it's not like
Looks like it's
black's
actually
black's set up to
one of the main moves.
get it going, but I always feel like it's a bit unnecessary if you already have an advantage though to he's already got a bit of a space advantage and black has awkward pieces and now it just becomes the opposite side attacking where the dynamics change and those positional factors become less weighty.
Yeah. So, might as well just like stick with what you have is good and just not bother inviting extra dynamics into the position. So that's why castles, and then c3, which I don't know. I feel like it might not be the best idea because I don't know why we're strengthening our d4 pawn. Like, I'd rather see if it would be possible to put like my instinct would be put a rook here, put a rook here, play c5, and then maybe just try and like just full gain as much space. Like that would be my initial game plan. Like c3 just feels a bit too solid, but maybe that's more Connor style.
Yeah, I can see it. It feels like a blitz move a bit. I definitely see your point.
Yeah, but whatever. I mean, it can't be bad. Like it's a
Yeah.
solid move. It's not blundering anything. So um, it's not takes, and everything gets traded off. And now suddenly black has no problems, right? Like it's white hasn't punished black, and now I just say we have an equal game here.
Now it
Well,
kind of
not
looks like a
quite, but
Scandi or something.
yeah, I was about to say after c6, it looks like some kind of closed Catalan uh, with like how the pawn can sometimes trade for the e pawn, and then you're left with like this bishop on e7, um, something like that. That's just what the pawns remind me of.
Yeah, see, I'm
But
seeing ed. I imagine ed5, queen d5, and somehow that queen went back to a5, c6, queen d8 or something. And, those skinny players love to do the queen tours. So
oh my gosh, I dislike the Scandinavian a lot. Just putting that out there. So if you
we
play
could
the Scandinavian, good for you. But
try three knight f3 if you really want to get spicy. But yeah, no, everything's Scandi. We do have the Scandi expert, right? We got John Bartholomew, also releasing a chessable course comprehensive on the Scandi that he apparently has put like thousands of hours in or something, or maybe that's exaggeration, but a lot. So he's about to be, cemented as the Scandi expert with the go-to chessable course.
wow, good for him. That's awesome. I mean, I'm sure in the hands of a capable player, the Scandi is very dangerous. But you know,
Yes, and also
at the club level, it's not. Yeah.
Jackson Wall plays a lot of Scandi, and yeah, it's well suited to endgame gods. If you just love to, I'm gonna try to outplay you in an endgame that's equal, which I guess this is kind of starting to look like.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't want to face Jackson in this position because he'd be just right at home.
just with the really like not huge dynamics, just low grind
Yeah,
type play. Yeah, no,
Karpov
those
baby.
positions are fun. Okay, so C6, and now suddenly, I don't really know where's White's play here. Like the pieces are great, admittedly. Like I love these just weak dark squares. Like the knight will get a good outpost, but like where's the break? Where's the where's the progress here?
Hmm.
Like, it looks like he didn't get a great result out of the opening, but you know might be incorrect.
Yeah, no, black's pretty much equalized. I agree.
Yeah. But let's continue. Rook 81, logical. I mean, it's where the rooks belong. Yep. Knight f6. Um, Queen e2. Feel like, do you see a better square for the queen? Because it feels good, but like, where does it go next? I suppose, or is it just about controlling the e file?
Um, I mean, it's kind of natural square in the French, so I don't know all the reasons why, but yeah, it feels okay to me. Mainly just because I'm developing in that manner all the time. Um, and yeah, I don't really see some super attractive central square. I mean,
This square is just beautiful. That's why I don't like going c3. Because now just the light squares are just free.
it is
But
interesting though. I've noticed in really strong players' games, a lot of times the best maneuvers are if you can somehow get your queen centralized, but that's obviously not going to happen in this position, really. Yeah, he's just slow playing, I think. I think you can definitely criticize both players a little bit here based on their time usage, though. Like,
yeah, no, they're
there's been
kind of
some,
just.
they're just autopiloting through critical decisions.
And now we have a completely equal game. If Connor would have spent a bit more, he might have been able to actually like squeeze out something out of the position. But now I'm curious to see what the players have managed to do with it in the time. So Queen A5 is pretty logical developing move, like just clearing, connecting the rooks, controlling the fifth rank. I guess pressuring here, but like there's nothing, so it's reasonable.
Yeah, I guess he can slice across that fifth rank. I think you do worry about the queen getting a little bit offsides at certain points, but it's obviously not an issue right now. But stay mindful if you just forget about that queen over there. Can find itself out of the action.
It's true. Although it can always rejoin, just because it can now really
Yeah, I like the fifth
pick
rank
its
with it.
place.
I mean, it's that's
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, A3. I mean, what else do you do besides maybe sacking the pawn? But Now all the light squares are just kind of screwed, so it's a good thing that the light squared bishops have been traded, I suppose.
Well, I know it looks a little weird, but what do you think about B? You can't play B3 because C3 hangs, unfortunately. But I was wondering about trying to get
What about
B3
like
C B3
B4?
B3 C4 in, but I'm not getting the ultimate structure I want. I want B3 C4, not like B4 C4.
I was thinking more like B4 A4
Ah, yeah,
because
okay.
we gotta get some kind of. That's how you play against this structure. At least what I've learned generally in playing with pawn structures, that the best way to beat the 4-on-3 on the queen side is to just weaken the C6 square as soon as possible, or just like create some holes. So that's why I would be more
Nice.
inclined to like, if I was going to pick one, go B4 maybe. But
Yeah, I always wonder, how to properly execute the 4-on-3 over there though, because I'm always a little bit worried my D pawn will get interfered with by the E pawn. But I guess you
I'm,
can you just push the A pawn, I guess. But
exactly, like generally how I play these positions is that, I mean, it's just another type position like the hanging pawns, isolate queen's pawn, Carl's bad. Like generally just control the e file and begin some sort of softening queen side operation, because the king side is just, there's nothing there. Um, so I'll be curious to see how, although I assume it's going to be about piece play in this game based on the pawn structure. So yeah, queen to f5, hidden the bishop. Okay. So bishop e5, that's smart. Want to have their dark squared bishop just be probably hitting bricks over here maybe. Although I guess their dark squares are kind of weak. So
yeah, just
guess
make sure
just centralize the bishop.
got to make sure you got an answer though to knight G4 or knight G7.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's like maybe, would bishop c1 be preferable at all? And
Well, I think
then
I still like bishop E5, but play knight D7. What are we gonna do? At least think about it.
maybe
Because
even bishop g3.
yeah, I guess it would. It just doesn't have a good. And maybe he's actually cool playing. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I think knowing Connor, he likes maybe he's going for a Fisher endgame. So maybe he's
Hmm.
actually fine with bishop E5, knight D7, knight takes E5, and knight takes, and then he's gonna try to play knight
Well,
against
let's
bishop.
just say a random move.
Yeah, and yeah, he's just gonna say, I don't think your bishop's that good. The position's not that open. I think I can outplay you here.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you can keep that bishop from being too active, so probably like immediately following it up with something like f4 potentially, because they can't, because he can never really go f6, because then the bishop just has no future. Um, but ooh, let's get back to the actual moves. Queen f5, bishop e5, rook f d8.
Just scroll up just a tiny bit. We got slightly misadjusted.
There we go.
Perfect.
My bad. Um, okay, so bishop e5, and now bringing the rook over. I mean, I suppose it doesn't matter which rook you go with because you're probably just going to double them anyways. So, don't have much to say about this move. What are your thoughts on rook d2? That actually, like, I get doubling, improving the pieces, but doesn't that just invite knight e4?
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. It's a bit odd. I mean, he's obviously trying to double on the d file, and maybe he's got ideas still of knight d7, knight takes e5, and maybe playing d takes or something. Is the
I was
only.
actually thinking more like knight here. I assume the rook probably goes up, and then like bishop here, and just trade off that really nice central bishop. And the bishop can't retreat to g3 because then we just take it with the knight.
Yeah.
And
We're
then maybe do that.
What do you think about knight e4, rook d3, and f6? I mean, I know it weakens e6, but
Looks like that. Looks like this is actually what happened in the game. Knight e4, rook f3, and then f6. Um,
is
so do we go bishop? No, bishop c7 would just help them double. So I'm trying to figure out. I mean, what? Just go back to GT.
yeah, I guess honestly, I like your move better because even after we've done that, you know, White's bishop is still better than Black's counterpart for sure. So even though,
Exactly.
so no point in doing that, and so now we further weakened our position. So yeah, we took a square White clearly wants to use, and I'm not saying I don't love it, but now they can just use the e file, and then yeah, I think you actually made, you're making positional progress playing bishop d6 and trading the bishops because
Exactly.
what's your bishop doing otherwise?
So let's see what happens. So we got rook d3 and then bishop f6. I don't like. I would rather go bishop d6
Mm-hmm.
because then the thought process would be if we go here, that way if we take, then the knight can like immediately just clamp really well here. And you kind of just force it, but I guess bishop f6 makes sense. But I kind of don't like it because then where does the bishop go? If we just move our bishop, like then where's its future? At least on d6, it's improved.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yes.
I'm not sure if I like this move.
Yeah. But so where's Connor gonna move his bishop though? Just like bishop c7 or something. It's like, yeah, that won't work. I
Um,
guess just bishop g3 and try to just say you can take it with your knight.
bishop g3 makes a lot of sense here, I'd say. But I wonder, I wonder if h3 is any good. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Point
um,
being, make a waiting move, right? Like make
mm-hmm,
an improving move.
mm-hmm.
If they don't take, then we can drop our bishop back and save the bishop and just have a better piece. And then also with h3, if they do take, then we can go knight versus knight, which is preferable because all the pawn weaknesses that our dark squared bishop can't really access. h3 would be my like blitz move probably, or classical move. They're not. There's not much of a difference.
Yeah, nice. It makes sense to me. I mean, I don't think I'm in game classy enough to realize that the knight versus knight has good winning chances for white here, but
Better than bishop versus knight. So,
yeah, and that's actually,
although it's just draw.
you can see the mindset Owen's getting into, and probably why he's getting so strong is this is the mindset you got to have in each position is what, you know, how could I make anything out of this? Like if this piece straight happens, you know, could I press from there?
Exactly. It's not about the one move. Like I get finding your first move matters, but the first move is a lot easier if you figure out the plan. Like I think I watched this one lecture by Yasser Seirawan, and one of the biggest things is just for positional chess. Imagine you could just pick your pieces, put them anywhere, and then figure out how to get them there. And that's more or less it. And then just think, okay, if the pieces are gone, what's better? Like
Yeah.
which side's better? Just mess around with that. But bishop f6. So h2 would be my move. Although, do we even have to do anything? Like, do we even have to move the bishop? Like, how about like pawn to a4? Just go with the plan of restricting. Like, actually make progress. Might as well use the free time, right?
Yeah, I mean that the knight's looking kind of annoying too, so why not just play rook e1
Yeah, you could do that too. Definitely.
and just say at least like,
Rook e1, then a4.
well, just first of all, where's the knight going? If I play rook e1 immediately,
Probably d6, and then I'd take that, and that would be worse for black. Although maybe it could go to g5.
yeah,
Well, let's see.
what you
Let's see
made.
what happened in the game.
Okay,
Let's
yeah,
yeah,
we got a lot of games to get to.
exactly. Let's speed up a bit. Fascinating game now. Uh, okay, now knight d6. So I would take the knight here. I mean, maybe that's not the right call, but let's see. Like taking. Actually, no, that just helps double. No, never mind. That's just dumb. Uh, wait. So interesting. Okay, bishop g3, smart. Um, I don't know if I'd probably go h3 here. So just threaten this maybe. Bishop g3. Ooh, what is optimistic?
Sorry, what?
What are your thoughts on queen b5?
Yeah,
Fascinating.
it
Queen's just
looks.
going all over.
I'd say he's probably eager to get a queen trade. Is my guess. Pressure b2. I'm not saying it doesn't make any sense, but I don't see why the. I guess he's maybe wanting to get the queen away from knight h4 at some point. Yeah, I don't know. He's probably just.
Ooh, I think I understand his idea. So if white ever goes here, then suddenly this might become a pin, like something random, like it kind of
Yeah,
discourages the rook improving its positioning.
I think he's. I think if I was in. I think if I'm putting myself in Josh's shoes, he's maybe hoping for rook e3, queen takes queen.
Yeah, something like rook e3 and then
I think Josh is happy with the draw in this game. I mean, I don't know. You know his demeanor better than me, but
yeah, he
everyone's
likes draws a lot.
well, and Connor's scary, so people. Yeah, I definitely am not. I like to dry it out a little bit myself against Connor, even though I usually play against the pieces.
Yeah. Okay. Here, that's a nice move, stopping knight c4 because then we probably should go here. So, guarding the piece without having to make any concessions, because otherwise that pawn's kind of hard to guard. Backwards pawn,
That makes sense.
maybe. Yeah, there we go. Called it. To c1, and ooh, why are we moving that knight? It's so beautiful. Are we just trying to go to d5?
Yeah, I think maybe also same concept. He doesn't. He wants to trick queens.
Yeah, just remaintain this. Yeah, I don't see how white makes any progress. Like after he just played a couple kind of careless moves and traded stuff off, now it's like how is this game gonna, you know, how's anything gonna happen? So okay, well now this is just a pin. Hmm. Okay, well let's try to get to the end of this game kind of quick. Got six more to go. So okay, smart. Rook d5, looking to double. Um,
Yeah, he wants.
maybe threatening this. Probably like b3 is the idea though.
Yeah, and just allowing his rook to move without dropping his queen.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. b3. Yeah, because now the rook moves, and then it's kind of like okay, you double the rooks, but now there's something on the queen side. Now it's not dry. So now that the pawns have mobilized, definitely a chance into counter. I'm not gonna. I'm hesitant to say advantage quite yet, but good, good chances. Got to be careful though. Ooh,
That's not making much sense to me.
what? I'm trying to figure this move.
I mean, I guess he's trying to play. He's trying to move his rook along the third rank, but
But where does it go? Maybe. Yeah. Is he trying to get some sort of like king side attack start, like maybe
yeah,
like this
I
and
I
then
think so.
okay, like he's just going for the kill, more or less, or threatening it,
Mm-hmm.
hinting at it. Um, okay, so reestablishing the pin. Yeah, Joshua really wants the queen trade here. Connor definitely does not want the queen trade. Oh my, look at all these queen moves. This is This is just the queen shuffle. They're just going all over. Um, Look at that. Oh, repeating. No draw.
Yeah. Okay. And you think I did this? I've done this myself against Connor, and I analyzed the game with my coach, and he was like, "What are you doing?" If you give your opponent these psychological signals that I want to draw, it doesn't help you. It increases their confidence. It makes them play better.
Yeah,
And I was like, but wait, he doesn't want to draw. He's not going to repeat or whatever. Now I forced him to make a different move than he was going to make or whatever. But and then my coach's reply to me was like, well, wait until someone 200 points below you does it to you, and you'll see how good it feels. Like, it's like, okay, I can't even lose this game anymore. This guy is already desperate for a draw, and it just feels, you just play then. And so yeah, I think I'm not saying that's exactly what's going on here, but if it is, it's it's better just to try to not do the repetitions and stuff.
for sure. Um, I don't. Okay. So black. I'm not seeing any tactics. Knight c5 feels like it's just putting the knight on its best square. And I mean, obviously, if there's c4, then you know.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like there is about to be tactics. Like I'm feeling that bell ringing, but I'm not seeing too much. So I'd probably wonder how much merit a5 has. Like in a moment of silence, like is black really threatening anything? Like why not create some
Well, I feel like I kind of want to shift my queen again so I can threaten to play like rook f3 and start to interfere with the queen.
So
Like maybe
how
just
good
play
is
queen d.
d2?
Yeah, exactly. D2 because I'm far from the knight, and I got a battery, so I'm not really worried about bishop g5.
Mm-hmm. And then you get the Alekhine's gun, sort of.
Yeah, and
Looks
then
okay. He agrees. So
nice. And my main idea is I want to play rook f3
and then just
because I also like my rook there. It's far from the knight. Right now my rook is close to the knight, so you can see like moves like c4, knight b4 happening. Well, if my rook's on f3, the knight's not jumping any. It's like 4 moves away from my rook.
exactly. No, that's true. And I mean, more so, rook f3. It also feels like it might allow some kind of pawn break, just because then the
Ah,
queen would be
yeah.
in the line. But I'm sure it's far enough down the future where like the tempo you can get with the rook is probably worth it. Like I
Mm-hmm.
doubt there's anything concrete. Um, but anyways, h6. Yeah, so now he's just waiting, or threatening bishop g5, I suppose. So
Yeah, and
you know,
I like that it has the bishop too, so I have some dreams of playing like c4 and rook takes f6 in some crazy line.
yeah, just go for an exchange stack. So
Yeah, if I can ever make him play g takes, that's of course attractive. So then I can kind of
I
make his queen stick to the bishop.
yeah, for sure. I'd actually say here's okay. Here's the one thing that I could definitely be wrong for, but one thing I've learned is like I've got a lot stronger is that generally the higher like level you get, the less pawn moves you make. If that makes sense, because it kind of feels like okay, like Connor, he's got a lot of pawns, and his pieces could be good, but like where is everything? It feels like Joshua's pieces have suddenly become really, really good because you can never push this pawn because then suddenly the bishop pressures. Can't really push this because then this is just backwards. Um, Although maybe you can, and it just feels like you know saved a lot of time because these pieces just don't feel very coordinated. But I'm sure you can coordinate them. But I just doesn't look like this game anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Let's blitz it to the end here, or we can come back to it because
Yeah, let's
we're not going to get
get back on
something.
track. All right, so couple more moves, just attacking the queen, attacking the queen. Okay, so now white has to have Okay, we're gonna check with the engine. Engine says minus zero. Oh, minus 0.1. It
Ah,
is. Oh, now it's a draw. Okay, so it's dynamically
dead,
balanced.
dead draw. Just
Of
kidding.
course, this is just obviously a dead draw.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on. Ooh, ooh, that's not a good move. And it looks like we've caught up. Wait, doesn't what if don't you just have bishop takes?
So okay, so bishop take.
Whoa. This is a mistake. This is not good. This is
So
no
let's see.
bueno.
Let's
Cause
see if I can catch up to you. So bishop takes, rook takes.
yep, and then c5. There's no more support on the d pawn, and now as I'm saying,
Yeah.
because the
So
rook moves to
he's just getting
f3.
his break.
Now that
Hmm.
I called it, I
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
if the rook moves to f3,
I was,
okay.
I was in Connor's mind, and you basically refuted me. You were in Josh's mind. So
Well, uh, seems great
congratulations.
minds think alike. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's for sure check on that game, but it looks
Well, did
like
he get C5? Did
Josh
he?
was
Well,
winning.
did he find C5?
He's thinking. Actually, the current position is 95. So Joshua has defined. Oh, and he took. Okay, so looks like we're about to see it. I assume do you want to watch it live or do you want to move
Nah,
on to
yeah.
other
Let's come
games quick?
back. We base our goal
Yeah.
is just to get a full analysis of each game.
Looks like this game's a lot shorter. So 15 moves in. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Got two
Okay.
big
That's
thinkers.
these. Yeah. See now these guys opposite. They are really thinking about how their structure is going to play out. But yeah, okay, we got just to intro these guys.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
Owen's
Do that
actually.
first.
I'm not. I know Owen's played Eddie, but I'm not sure he's played Miles. Miles is
I have
a
not.
pretty frequent tournament winner and very strong player. He loves Nimzo Larson structures, so he's always playing.
Yeah, it's always B6 with him.
Yep.
It's always.
I mean, he plays some other stuff too. He plays a little bit of mainline stuff too. He's well rounded, but at the same time, if you're gonna be if you pair versus Miles this week, you better be ready for that structure, or he might just roll you. So,
Yeah.
all right, and then Eddie is he's known as Everyday Eddie. He plays in the most tournaments in the club, probably the most tournaments in the state. He
Yeah.
has over 3,000 rated games. So He's actually played more rated games than most professional chess players. So yeah, Eddie is experienced.
He's a beast. His play style is similar to mine. So we have moments of brilliance, but otherwise we just blunder stuff. So, you know, always that was a fun game. But anyways, let's see how Eddie's doing. So D4, just really he plays E4, he plays D4, he plays whatever the heck he wants. Um, okay, knight f6, C4, B6, shocker, Queen's Indian. Although, meh, more like an Owen's defense. But uh, ooh, Queen C2. Yeah, let's go with mainline.
Do you have any preference for the Owens fence yourself? Namesake.
Not really. I think one of my favorite things in chess is messing around with space, where I love the classical style, just taking as much of the center, and then I love the style of giving it a lot. So, but I always like having a lot of play in it. So these B6, G6 structures, I've never been a huge fan of, just because I don't like the more hyper modern approach of controlling the center from the sides. I prefer to actually like stake my claim in it if possible. So I'm not very familiar to summarize.
Yeah,
Um,
myself as well. I mean, I played Perk throughout my entire childhood, so I was, got made it on the H file 15 million times, so I'm kind of traumatized by hypermodern, and I like my central space now.
yeah. Alrighty. D5. So we're still in mainline. So this is a Grunfeld, but like the bishop is just wrong. This is just Grunfeld. Yeah. Okay. So Grunfeld, but without G6.
It's the Queen's Grunfeld.
The Queen's Grunfeld. Yeah. I think the main move here is E5. Okay. Um, I'm not. Mm, this just looks gross. Like I don't know
Yeah,
why
yeah.
we're doing this.
And also, it's like you're losing development in center.
I mean, I guess we have good files, like good, maybe good piece play, but this just feels long term just bad. So
Yeah,
uh, the database agrees that black wins a lot. Like I feel like knight f3 is just so much more natural. Like
yeah, yeah. You want
true Greenwood
opening
style.
principles are not overrated. You know,
Yeah.
make as few pawn moves as possible to develop your pieces in castle. That's what you need to do in each and every opening. And actually, the more you look at strong players' games, the more you see they actually follow that. You know, even if they're playing a bunch of theory, they like, and when they don't, they get punished. So
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm already wouldn't I would already just based on that move alone, I would not be surprised if Eddie gets mated this game. I
Oh
mean
yeah.
that's a bit drastic, but it's like that's like the start to having bad king safety.
He played it so fast, 2 minutes. Like that's a big decision of choosing the pawn structure. So
He might
I
know
guess
some things about it. I mean, Eddie actually is pretty well booked up despite being all over the place, or he might know of a game or something. But it's so anti pause. I just don't think. But he's
I
also
mean
127 here, and he loves to tank. So I mean, I'd be shocked if he didn't at least if this is an idea he's seen somewhere.
So, I mean, I understand the idea of like, okay, you're gonna give me a pawn, great, I'll take it, hold on to it, be greedy. But I love sacrificing pawns personally, like positional chess. I just love exchange sacks, pawns, take them all. Like that's a big style of mine. So I'm not a big fan of this super greedy mentality. So we'll see if Miles punishes him for it. Um, D takes 97. Okay, pretty normal. Immediately developing with tempo. Knight f3, um, queen e7, developing with tempo. Bishop f4, defending and short castles. Now this is just, I mean, the wrong file is open to have anything serious against the king. Like I'd much rather have the c file than the d file. But this looks like it could definitely turn into something,
Do you think he's just gonna
something fun.
play a4 a5, or is that
Oh, I'd be
something?
shocked if he doesn't.
I mean, and then I guess maybe b6 is a little soft, but it's overprotected by the knight and stuff, and
Yeah, I mean, as I see it, the way to punish is you sack this pawn firstly, you give it back to get this bishop open. And all you gotta do is just somehow just take here. Either way they take, we get play, get open. So I mean, if there's literally if I see a fiend kettle, yeah, throw the side pawns. It's usually
so
pretty good.
so
So
what? But I mean, what are you doing if you play your e6 pawn stack and then you play a4 and then just play a5?
well let's see. So take with the queen, I assume, and then probably I might even I mean probably hold on to this pawn first and maybe something like knight here. Okay, might be a bit early to sack this pawn, admittedly. Um, but maybe that would be my idea at some point.
Yeah,
So
it's also there's a funny thing like you can imagine bishop f1 participating in the attack on the king without even moving. So
yeah, because
so you love the idea of trying to make that happen, but also that's just like you're never gonna castle then. So
and this
it's probably
this is just
suicidal.
yeah, king in a box. So bishop c4. I mean now this actually has more merit. So h6. Um, probably just castles here. Yeah, not really rushing. So now he's following the principles. Just Eddie's a pawn up. So maybe this is what he was prepping, or this is what he was going for. Um, and G5, yeah. Now the now the stampede begins. So it's hard to see. Yeah, it's hard to see how Eddie can get an attack quick because he hasn't really spent anything on getting to Black's king. So now, where's the counterplay? It's a bit too slow. That'd be my interpretation.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to hear your thoughts though.
Um, Yeah, it's interesting, but also like black doesn't have any pieces in the attack really. I'm up. I'm interested in move by move after bishop g3. Does is is
Probably.
h5 going to be really like rough or
I mean, I've I've seen this idea before in the Italian, where sometimes black will do this idea of like h6, g5, h5, and this is going to seem really weird, but I don't actually know if it works here. But the main way to deal with this is actually just playing h4 yourself. So, and pretty much saying you take it. I mean, obviously in this case, bishop takes and win material, but more so because you don't really have a way of guarding it, and there's actually a solid future where you can use your pawn and then just completely stop the attack, which you're not supposed to move pawns in front of your king, but it actually is a pretty normal idea if you're just getting, bulldozed.
compared to like h3, they just hit you with g4.
Exactly. So h4 is a bit more h4 is a bit more to the point. So bishop g7, pretty much saying, okay, back to trying to get the pawn, and now let's see. Okay, it's queen f4, counterplay, very smart, and okay, a5. So
I
now what's
guess
the
he,
idea?
I guess
Now
he.
where's the queen go?
I was thinking king b8 is kind of a more necessary move. Like if you queen side castle, you almost always play king b8. And so, if you're going to always play that anyways, it's a necessary move. Why not do it? But, I think he doesn't want bishop a6, which I also see is reasonable.
So yeah, the more I actually look at a5, it's really reasonable because now Eddie's opening play is punishing him because suddenly you have the wrong file open, and this a pawn now can never go anywhere. So how are you gonna get to the king? That's looking like it has definitely not gone well um, for Eddie here. But these b6 systems they're tricky. So you have
Yeah,
any thoughts on this position?
I feel like I wouldn't be shocked if we threw the engine on for a second and it was dynamically equal.
Want me to?
Sure. I
Okay.
know it seems like white's a lot better, but I wouldn't
How did
be.
you know? How did you know? Point 0.01
Yeah, yeah, just because it's
or 0.1.
computers are annoying. And I just feel like it's that kingside pawn storm just kind of looks a bit phantom. I mean, like he could give black a bunch of moves, and I wouldn't be shocked if white had, maybe I couldn't defend it, but that they have good defensive moves, just because there's not enough coordination, piece coordination to go along with the open lines.
There's actually something really pretty here. Eddie does find it, but I'd be curious to see if you can find it first. So, I mean, I wouldn't say pretty, but it's like it's neat little. It works tactically. So, but
All
it's
right,
this pretty dynamic move, in which Eddie is good at dynamics. So it's no shocker to me that he found it.
all right. Let's see what I can do here. We got. I mean, e6 seems interesting, but I mean maybe hangs. E6 f takes, and
Dead end.
yeah. Okay.
So, not quite e6. It's really pretty. Let's move knight d4.
94.
So you attack both your pawns in the center, but you get a lot of plays. Like for instance, if we go bishop here, then bishop a6 is just murderous. So because just to show the tactics. So if you have bishop e7, well, we first go knight f5. So and then if the queen spends all this time going here, knight d6.
Yeah, I love that, and that actually is totally findable if you.
You ready?
Oh wow.
That's the idea. Yep.
And Eddie saw that.
Crisscross. I mean, it wouldn't. Well, this didn't happen in the game, but this is just like a cool line of why you can't really take in the center. it's just tactics everywhere, like the piece play. So you can't take here because you have this bishop e6, knight f5, knight d6 idea, which is just so pretty.
And you can't move the
So
king. And so we already kind of even seeing why king b8 is necessary. I mean, there always seems to be some sort of strange tactics.
exactly. So
And
he's getting the counterplay. He's getting the counterplay.
I like that mentality too. Of, let me just get the knight towards the king, and I'm going to use the pawns as currency. I already picked up one earlier. You take those. But yeah, not chaining yourself to the mindset of I need to protect all my pawns. More orienting yourself around maximizing your piece activity.
Exactly. So although it does look like it just clean gives the e5 pawn away, however, we get some really easy moves, which is that after this, I would probably say knight f5 is pretty reasonable. Or get out of the center.
Yeah, it's a queen check.
Exactly.
Yep. Doesn't get much more forcing than that.
So then probably the computer says queen c5 to counterattack. I turned it on quick because I
Sure.
want to figure. I don't want to calculate this whole variation. Um,
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and I guess it's because our queen's hanging on a4. Because otherwise, we could think about playing knight g7. I guess you could always play knight c4 anyways. But I was thinking, knight
I'd
g7,
rather
queen
keep.
c4, and see that knight e5
I'd
was
keep this
hanging. But
bishop just because we gotta get something here. We gotta be able to rival this. So probably like what bishop d5 or something here.
yeah, and then and
Uh,
I'm trying to find tactics that we already know don't exist because engine liked queen c5, but it still looks a little loose where you got to calculate stuff.
exactly. So looks like knight d4 really, really. Okay, well he spent about 20 minutes on it, so I'm sure he saw um, a great deal of that. So very, very nice move. This it makes sense in a lot of different ways, but still you're working up the courage to sack two pawns at the same time, so might as well be careful. Knight d4, and then we get knight c5. Um, what's your thoughts on knight c5 instead of knight e5? Like I don't know why we wouldn't just take the pawn and go into that line. Maybe he missed queen c5.
Yeah, and he's also just by playing again. He doesn't like giving bishop g3 activity, just on principle probably. Otherwise, yeah, queen check. Um, I'm sure so you can't. So I'm also curious what's wrong with bishop e5.
Right here.
No, instead of knight c5. Just thinking,
Gotcha.
just thinking about his mindset.
Uh, okay, let's see. So bishop d5.
Just because I feel like
So
that's not
then,
participating in the king side attack, and bishop g3 looks pretty strong. So I'm pretty happy to
uh,
trade it.
hold on. So do we have knight c6 here?
Yeah, okay, so we've got some knight c3. I guess c6 is pretty soft, so I'm.
So like there's now the bishop in. Now we get the bishop pair. Bishop
Okay.
d5 might be a mistake, but that also might be okay.
Okay, so I mean, that makes perfect sense then. I mean, that helps us understand his motivation for knight c5. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
knight c6 is a threat, and knight c5 makes that threat impossible. Or at least makes it difficult. You can still think about playing knight c6, I guess, because if you play knight takes queen, we play knight takes queen check. I don't know. Maybe there's some tactics there.
yeah. After the knight c6 line of
Even knight c6, yeah, just knight c6 here. Even still trying to get the bishop pair.
knight c6 here actually. But what about this?
Yeah, it looks a bit exactly. It looks a bit loose. Just something to calculate and hope for, but in a paranoid fashion.
I mean, Eddie actually chooses a very similar version of the idea. He goes knight f5, and this is actually the current position. This is where we're sitting at. So, how would you evaluate the position? All right,
Yeah,
engine off. Let's just see. Let's just see if we can
I'd
figure out.
say
Let's put
this one.
ourselves in their brain.
Yeah, this one's not for evaluation; it's for calculation. So knight takes queen, king b8, or even
Oh, well, there's the move.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, to me, I mean, you both got this is just a position that's strictly for calculation, and you need to fully calculate it. Checks, captures,
Then
threats.
bishop. Hmm.
You know, my idea of wanting to play intuitively in positions like this is a huge weakness, and that I'm trying to currently correct with a lot of puzzles because yeah, positions like this you need to just calculate, and if you have a forced win, find it, and don't let your opponent find any forced wins. And pretty much throw positional. I mean, not totally throw positional considerations out the window. You know, you can have tactical positional considerations, but yeah,
I always try to have like in the back of my mind some sort of positional overview of what's going on. But that's a fair
yeah,
point. Like that's I admittedly yeah, I'm way too much of an intuitive player. I blame all the blitz. So I totally get that. That happens to me too. But this is not what happened in the game. Instead, we have Queen F8 and look,
yeah,
he's down 2 minutes.
yeah.
So
He's useless. He does his performance doesn't drop. It's crazy.
yeah,
So
he's fast. So I assume the position is going to liquidate now after that takes here. So I wouldn't say it's fizzling out, but it's definitely going to simplify. Want to move on and then check back on the games?
sure.
Okay. It says Nathan is playing two people at the same time, but I'm going to assume someone was mislabeled
Nope.
as
So
Hoover.
no,
Or is
here's
he
how.
doing a simul?
Yep. Nathan loves to do the simul. So if there's an odd number of players in the open section, Nathan will play two boards.
That's awesome.
So
And
that's
he's ahead on time in both games. That's the craziest part.
yeah, yeah. It definitely can hurt him though. But he also gets two interesting games in, and yeah, Nathan is always actually playing super interesting chess. He's one of the most interesting players in the club, so very lucky to have him directing. And yeah, but can get brutal. And yeah, the funny part too is that a lot of times he doesn't seem to arrange his boards next to each other. So if he gets some time pressure on both boards, sometimes he'll just be running across the room. It's pretty funny.
My prediction for this game is I think Eddie's going to make a tactical error pretty soon.
Yes, Miles definitely has pretty good tactical vision. And Miles, yeah, he's
And a time advantage too. That's the main part.
and he's won a couple. He's won a couple Thursday nighters premieres. So
Interesting. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to Hoover board game one. So E4, E6,
yeah, and I'm not totally
and
familiar
we
with
get
Celine. I think new player.
yes. I've never heard the name for, but
Ah, I play this
got a Caro.
myself. Yep. Gotta
Really?
take that thing.
White or black? So
I play this as white. Yeah.
oh, nice, nice. I'm a you might hate me, but I'm a fantasy Caro player, so I have too much fun with those positions
Yeah. Well,
for
I'm
me
actually
to do this
I play the tall, and then yeah, I play the
with H4.
tall,
Yeah.
and then I'm actually wanting to drop the tall and pick up the short. It's kind of ironic going tall to short, but
Well, TAL, yeah.
yeah. But the good thing is actually both variations require me to know this, so I'll definitely be investing in this. And yeah, you think about it seems really strange, like black's making it played c6 then c5, like what's going on here? But also white played e4 then e5, so white made an extra pawn move, so black gets to make an extra pawn move. That's basically their mentality. And e5 from that perspective is a little, it's positional but anti-positional. It's positional because it takes center, and yeah, you basically clamp and start to get this big pawn chain rolling towards kingside attacks, and you know you're going to have a great claim on the center. But you do make two pawn. You play e4 then e5. Pawn moves are slow, when you play e4 to e5, you're not
it
developing a
balances
piece. You know.
dynamically too because c6, c5. This is just like this has become in the past couple of years. This theory's gone on. This is just the way to play against the Kara. Like the advance has just become like the clear, at least at top level chess, like the clear way to get an advantage, or at least like a really complicated game. So before we talk too much, let's see
Yeah,
how
let's see what
interesting this
happens.
game gets. D takes. Yep. This is I've been studying this as white as well. So knight f3, bishop g4. Okay.
Bit
Um
strange.
I'm pretty isn't e6 generally how you do it? E6 or bishop f5?
I don't know about Black's plans. I mean, if from what I know, knight c6 is already wrong
Yeah, yeah.
because Black's gonna play bishop b5 and bishop takes c6. That's a goal of theirs. So you are giving them a ripe target, and
Exactly.
they're like and a lot of times when the reason they do that is because they're actually going to get to keep the pawn if they play accurately enough with bishop d3 and then yeah, actually a lot of times what happens in my games, then I'm not saying I play the theory perfectly, but I keep the pawn and then they play bishop a6. They prevent me from castling because I spent some time to keep the pawn, and it feels like the types of positions where like I'd be so happy to have them in classical, because
Yeah.
if black does come back, it's usually because I missed some cheapo, not because they had tons of positional merit. And then the black players that do play really well against me, I feel like they're totally booked up and they're playing the exact right moves to recover the pawn, which I know knight
That's why I play
c6
F3.
is not ideal. But yeah, that's basically the limit of my knowledge. I'm already if I'm white, I'm already feeling optimistic. I'm feeling like I'm going to get bishop b5, bishop takes d6, bishop e3, and b4 in at some point, and I'm going to keep the pawn.
Something like this. So just looking to get this sort of like
Yeah,
Catalan
yeah, and they'll hit me with
agreement.
a5, and I'll play c3 because my rook's hanging otherwise, and then you know, yeah, honestly, yeah, how it works with them is I don't know a lot of time, and then they'll always play queen c7. They try to pick up e5 again, and some variations I actually know from my prep. I'm supposed to actually gambit e5, and it's poison because queen takes e5 at like knight takes queen takes, and like you have bishop f4 stuff sometimes that gives you a ton of activity in certain lines that I won't be able to 100% articulate, but
You got the idea.
yeah, so it's you got to know your stuff. I feel like
Yeah.
I'll be very
Especially if you're
happy.
playing like the main line, like that super topical stuff, you've got to know this in and out. So
Yeah, and I don't know it in and out, so I feel like it's one of those openings where if I play someone who knows in and out, they're going to crush me. If I play someone who's playing it by hand, I don't think I'm going to say crush them, but I'm going to have a very easy game.
yeah, because like the advance, at least with this, c5 d takes instead of bishop f5, you definitely your plans are a lot easier. Like hold on to pawns, gain space, and just that's really it. So if they don't like punish that severely, then that's really all you do, and then you're just up. So let's get moving though. E6. Okay, so knows what they're doing, and bishop e3. That's odd. Why don't we just go b4? Trying to figure out why he'd play that instead of
Bishop
because that
e3,
just feels like it invites.
it makes sense to me. I mean, it's a standard move.
Yeah.
But
It
yeah,
actually says b4 is the standard move.
really.
I checked the master's database. Yeah.
Ah, yeah, but
Let's see.
it's I play bishop d3 super early. I mean, I play bishop d3. Well, actually, they usually it doesn't go like this. They don't play bishop g4. They play e6 early on, and I play bishop d3 immediately. So that's how almost all my
Yeah.
games go. So I'm definitely not familiar with this kind of black got their bishop
So
out sideline.
yeah. So after the bishop's out, then b4 is it seems to be
The way.
the more optimal way. I mean, I
Well, I
I
appreciate.
I
Maybe
play
I'll be able to use
Catalan.
that.
Yeah, I play Catalan both colors, so B4 comes a lot more intuitively to me. Um, but you know,
It's because the bishop. The funny part is that a lot of times in this opening, bishop goes to d4, and
yeah,
just becomes
and
a
it just
big
clogs.
pawn anchor type thing. And so yeah, he's probably just playing. It make b4 does make a lot of sense, but I think he's also just probably playing with ideas that he more frequently faces in blitz, which would be
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I'm saying. So moving along, so we get bishop e3, pretty standard, and knight e7. So go with the plan: c3, b4, maybe bishop d4. Although, like we had one, maybe a few chances before this to take the knight, and I was wondering, would you ever take it and go for this kind of structure, or would you rather just
yeah.
leave the b file closed?
I'd say yes. I would definitely sit there in the classical game and think about taking it, and I'm not opposed to taking it at all. But also, I love the idea that black might be weird and play a6. So I'm also not
That
you
just
know
loses the game positionally for sure.
they might spend an extra tempo forcing me to do what I want to do, thinking that I don't want to do that because they don't understand the position. Is kind of my mentality. But at the same time, yeah, I'd probably in a classical game I'd probably snap it because I already know I'm getting towards. If I play knight takes b takes one move earlier or whatever, then I pretty much know I'm gonna keep the pawn. But
Yeah, so
so
something like this.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I know I'm gonna. Yeah, the funny part is a lot of times too they'll play like queen a5 trying to pick up the pawn successfully with bishop takes c5, but you just play like c3 and then they're annoyed because they can't play bishop takes c5 anyways because you have b4. So you can kind of
Yeah,
defend it tactically.
yeah, neat. And then the queen goes from here. And this pawn, because the bishop is now on g4 instead of guarding it, it's just so terrible. That's just ugly. But let's get into the middle of the game where stuff gets super interesting because we could discuss theory for days. So
Yeah, we're not the ideal pair for expediency considering we both like openings.
yeah, no, we both love theory, so we could just sit here and yap. And by move 10 up, 40 minutes have gone by. Oh crap. Okay. But anyways, two of the games are already done. So move on. Ooh, I do not like that. Uh, bishop. No. I guess the bishop is outside of the chain, but at the same time, I'd love to see the bishop not traded. Like these are just permanently going to be like all the light squares around the camp
Yeah,
are
yeah.
bad, and this is just ugly to me.
Well,
This is
there.
just
I think their idea is this is a French. That was my bad bishop. I'm gonna trade the bad bishop off.
yeah,
To my knowledge, this is actually a really naive idea because I saw some video by Soonberg Hansen who says even IMs play like this all against them all the time. They'll play this bishop. They'll play it like a French. They'll play bishop g4, and then e6 behind it and say, "Ha! I solved my bad bishop." But it apparently is not ideal for many reasons I won't be able to describe properly. But GM made a whole video on it, and so that at least convinced me that just going for these cheapos, like, oh, I'm gonna, and same thing if you think about it with a lot of the French variations where they go bishop a6 and try to trade their bad bishop off that way. That they just a lot of times lose way too much time for it to be worthwhile, and
exactly.
they're not appreciating the power of that bishop. It's not actually that bad of a piece. Bishops, it will recover in the future, and
Usually, yeah, that was my only way of. Sorry for interrupting, by the
no,
way.
all good.
My rationale in playing the French, especially over the board, is I'm like, you know what? My bishop's gonna be bad. Maybe 20 moves, maybe 30 moves. You never know. But all I gotta do is make it to an end game, and I know that black is better. So just because of all the beautiful connected pawns. So, but that's the hard part, is surviving the French middle games. Um,
Yeah,
but I like it.
I
Not
think it
gonna
was
lie.
Nigel Short who I would if anyone knows his reputation, I won't be surprised. You won't be surprised that he had a cutting comment related to this. But he said there's no such thing as a bad bishop. There's only bad players. So
Yeah, no, I
don't know
mean,
how to fix their bad bishop.
yeah, I guess it's just a skill issue, right?
Yeah, skill issue. If you got light square bishop, you can't deal with that thing. But yeah, anyways, I just like to follow the plans of the position. Trying to do, and sometimes hey, those hacks can work. Hey, I solved my bad piece, and your opponent doesn't know how to punish it properly. You can just get a very good version of certain openings. So I'm not totally dismissing the strategy, but it's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I am not a big fan of this move. So yeah, intuitively I would go A4 here. I wouldn't hard my hand over it, but this is probably what I'd say just as
Yeah,
like under the thought process of if A6 is actually a pretty normal idea.
yeah. Before coming next, I don't know.
Exactly.
For some reason I call that like the wishbone. I don't know why. I feel like I get that kind of. Yeah, exactly. I get that a lot.
Of that. No, it's especially in queen pawn games like D4 D5 games with like C4 C5 D takes
Hmm.
and holding on to that pawn. Um, but Hoover actually plays Queen E2, which makes sense. Like, you're backing this up, you're guarding this, but at the same time, like, why not go A4, I guess?
Well, maybe he's just thinking about playing B4 anyways. I guess
Yeah, but
now,
I'd
yeah,
rather
you can't.
get
Yeah,
both.
you're right. Because now if they play A6, you can't just play B4. They can play Queen takes B5. So it seems a
Exactly.
little bit less optimal.
Yeah, that was the point I was trying to make, although I'm sure this is still, you know, this is still good. So,
And we know Bishop takes C6 is good in this opening in general. So I don't think you're really that scared of A6 anyways. BC6 is like okay.
Jesus looks terrible. This is just your poor dark squares. Look at
Mm-hmm.
this. This
Mm-hmm.
is just this is just grody. That is that is not what we want. Because now where's the bishop going? Like, sure, you can pressure here, but isn't the plan F4 at some point? Like, really shore up.
Well, I wonder now because yeah, I do kind of like that, but then how are you going to access the dark squares as white? Now maybe I can't play something like Queen D2, Bishop H6 if I wanted to, but I guess that doesn't really matter.
Alrighty. So let us move on. We get G6 and knight D2. Very logical. I'd still like to see A4 at some point, but I can't argue with National Master. So knight D2, bishop D7, and F4. Yep. Okay.
Nice. You called it.
Look, I did. I mean, I got a rough idea of how to play the pawn structure, so you know, um, feels good to be predicting moves. But anyways,
And
Castle.
these guys are tanking too, so your intuition is predicting classical thought patterns, so that's pretty good.
I'm a mainly intuitive player, so I try to be. Um, I'm alright. I mean, although my brain can't help but calculate like sequences of this and then maybe something like this. But knight b. I don't like knight b3. I feel like shouldn't we go b4 and then knight b3? Or am I? Or is the
Yeah,
idea just to go to d4?
that makes a lot more sense to me.
Like knight b3 just doesn't. Actually, you know what might be even better? Wait, no, never mind. I had a thought there, and then I changed my mind. But anyways, yeah, I just feel like b4 is a lot more intuitive. B4, A4, and then go here. Like always, put the knight behind the pawns, right? Um, hmm. Okay, knight b3, queen c7. Ooh, h4. Okay, so just declaration of war. What are your thoughts here? Like we got crap is happening.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that's totally what. I mean, if you're saying these dark squares are so terrible, I mean, how else are you gonna get at them?
Idea is just, I mean, honestly, I'd say the idea isn't to open the H file; it's to just trap the bishop and then play on the queen side. That's how I see it. Like I generally, my rule of thumb for positional chess is pick which side you're gonna play on, then either lock the other sides or like play on both. So, I see maybe the idea is just fully lock the king side, or just attack. But h4, like obviously there's a hook, so can't be bad. Very logical. Now f6. Okay, what do you do? Take, defend. What's your
It's
intuition telling you?
well, it's a logical break for black if it's working.
It's the French break.
Yep. Um, I mean, I'm seeing e6 is a little bit loose, so I first want to at least calculate if I can make anything happen with ef6 and move my bishop. But it's not like my bishop has a lot of squares. And I mean, if I make queen takes e6 happen, it's not like I'm winning another piece or something.
Exactly.
But I do like the idea of maybe ef6 with
The
f5
two moves I'd
somewhere.
consider are this
I don't
and
know.
this.
Yeah.
Um, so Nathan chose e takes, incredibly logical, and then I assume h5, or is that too slow? H5, knight f5. Knight bishop back. Nah, this just looks good. Never mind. Um, yeah, I'd have a hard time not playing h5 here. So Nathan actually chooses g4, but I'd be curious to hear if you think one is better, because maybe h5 is rushing it a bit too much. Maybe that's premature going for the kill because this just prevents knight f5 completely. But
Well, so if they played h5 knight f5, what happens?
right here, so h5, knight f5, and then probably bishop back, and then it's kind of hard for black to make a move. We're hitting this, we're threatening this, and then I mean
And
probably
I
could
mean,
even castle,
and knight f5 wasn't even a real tempo because we're gonna get g4 and run the tempo back.
and then we just bring our knight here.
So yeah, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't just h5 immediately. Because yeah, I'm about to play g4 anyways. I'm gonna hit the knight, and where's it gonna go anyways? So.
Exactly. Let's let's see if the computer has a preference here. The computer says oh, h5 is the best move. It thought about it, and h5 is +2 according to it. So my attacking mindset seems to be
Bob,
pretty pretty tuned in.
yeah, Bobby Fischer style chess is simple. Just check, check, mate.
Yeah, honestly, it's how I like to view it. But anyways, back to regular analysis. G4. I mean, this can't be bad. Like you're just
Yeah,
throwing all the pawns. Um, but anyways, so E5, obviously,
yeah,
when attack on the side, strike in the center,
exactly. So that's black showing some principal play with that.
following principled chess. But now the question is how to respond, because my king's in the center, so F takes makes a lot of sense. But I'm wondering if F5 is any better. But maybe that just leads to unnecessary complications.
Yeah, and you're giving black a lot of center, but
Yeah, exactly. So
so
probably
it could
what F
backfire
takes.
if the king side doesn't open properly.
So F takes then castles and pressure the ISO pawn, something like that, or
Yeah,
hmm.
because yeah, you're definitely gonna want to.
That would be what I'd do. Takes castles and G5 H5. Just blitz it. I'd pre-move this if it was a blitz game.
Yeah.
So
I was just thinking for a second about if queenside castle without taking first made any sense at all, but it doesn't.
yeah, because then just takes.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, makes a lot of sense to me. I definitely want to get queenside castle in soon. You know, things are popping off, and you don't usually have time to castle in the middle of tactical operations. So when, if not
Exactly.
now, when?
Well, that's the fun part is that White's really the only one with tactics here. So, just crushing.
Yeah, and Nathan
Take.
is Nathan's strong positionally and tactically, so a lot of his games do end up looking like this.
Yeah, this is just beautiful to watch. Like just held onto the C pawn positionally, and then it's just full force attacking. Um, what can I say? So, anyways, long castles and B6. I don't like that move. Like I guess like Benko style. But what if we just don't take it? Like G5 maybe
Yeah, you gotta just ignore it. Um,
brute force. Oh, I was playing the game. Okay, so G5,
yeah, yeah,
Bishop H8.
and he wants h5 and he doesn't want to allow g5 in response, even though it wouldn't make much sense. He can still play bishop takes g5, but this way the h file is
It's
for
more about
sure opening.
freezing this. G5 is just about freezing the hook.
Yeah, he really wants that h file open. It's like, have you seen the famous Judah Polgar example?
Of course,
Yeah,
of going after the king side.
yeah, throwing g4 before h4 when it seems totally nonsensical, just to fix g5 and make sure that h file is cracking open.
So, we'll get to the game, but I actually snuck a peek at the other Nathan Hoover game, and it was another Caro-Kann where it was a very quick G4 H4. So he did the same thing in both of his simuls. So I'd love to look at that. So let's speed through these games and get to it. So H5, B takes. Probably Bishop takes, right? Like the knight's great. Okay. Takes. Queen. Look at this move. This is just. I love this. It's just beautiful. Looking to pressure everything. Just
Really
full force
controlling.
attacking.
Yes, a lot of squares, showing the full power of the queen.
Ooh, wait a minute. Do we have not yet? Do we have takes, and then here? Like, okay, well, let's see. He took. Yep. You don't have a choice. I mean, sure. Oh no, my bishop, but I mean, this
Yep.
is just game over. So knight takes. So now, can't you just go bishop b6?
Deflecting the queen.
How good is this? Computer says Nathan's move is better than the one I found. His move's a lot prettier. So it approves of his idea, but mine appears to still be winning. Bishop C. Look at this.
Crazy.
Just the
On putting
geometry.
because yep, knights. You can see the knight is pinned. Now he's threatening bishop takes d5.
Exactly. And just for anyone who like doesn't really understand, so if the queen takes this bishop, then you stop defending. Oops, checkmate. So obviously you can't do that. And guess what? The knight takes. Ah, watch out. So looks fancy, but if you think about it a bit, pressure here, and it's just very pretty. So gives it the knight, and then bishop c5. So now the position's complicated, but I assume we just move the queen up just to avoid the trade, and black has all the same problems.
Makes sense. Just keep the queen on the h file.
Okay. check, king moves, king b1, and just giving up all the pieces. So I assume, yeah, just take the bishop, and then like bishop d4 and just crush, because the game's over at this point. Like, let's be honest, this is just this is fatal, especially against someone of Nathan's caliber. So takes, beautiful, just rook lifting. Although, what do you think about this move as compared to for example, like rook dh3? I feel like that move is a lot more intuitive than rook hh3.
Sorry, what was the question again?
What is your thought on the move that Nathan played of doubling rooks up on the file instead of, you know, I mean on the rank instead of
Yeah,
the
that is
file?
a bit strange.
What's the purpose, I guess?
Yes, I'm not totally following, honestly. Um, he wants to secure rook d3 against some tactics I don't see. No idea, really.
I mean, I just feel like this is just a lot more obvious, but maybe there's something there. Um,
Okay, that just seems why a bit.
okay, so this is just game over.
Yeah, but why?
So it looks
Why?
like
What was the point of h6?
handing in the resignation. So this game, I'd say it's done. You know, it's I think it's been done for a while, but
Well, that
that's
was flashy attack by Nathan. Wow.
yeah. All right, let's move on. So this game actually is finished. I will not spoil the results, although it
Well,
might already be spoiled.
it's spoiled by the PGN, or I mean, you can see it by their name.
Yeah, by over here.
Yeah, but this
Oh, well, that's
is
unfortunate.
well, this is honestly nice. Yeah, I think this is a bit of an upset, although maybe not anymore. Robert's getting a little bit lower rated, but
What's
Rob
Robert's strength?
Robert is he actually was almost made national master. I think he's 2187 peak, and he kind of took a
Pretty
long break,
strong.
had a comeback, and now he plays the craziest openings of all time. So he plays really
Let's see.
anti-positional openings, and but he just has really good tactics and really good end games, which makes sense with his past peak. So he's a scary player to play for sure. I lost. I've lost against Robert when I played him. And Ronan is definitely a lot more solid than uh,
In
Robert.
the Vienna for a solid player though is that's bold. Oh, never mind. Okay. We'll go quick through the opening just because got a few more games to get through.
Sure.
Takes, although most of the games are still going currently. So this is just a Lions defense.
Yeah.
You want to know the move I play here? So if anyone's watching this who's going to play against me and he plays as black, expect G4.
Yeah. I also played G4 but one move earlier.
Oh, really? Before
So, well, I don't. Or
okay.
no, sorry. I'm
You wait for knight f3.
well, what's the core lion Tavia with? Isn't it usually with G6?
Traditionally, but we're just talking about pure Lions defense right now. Um,
Yeah, I also
but yeah,
love
usually.
it. Yeah, I definitely played G4 as well, but I'm just yeah, no, I think I do play G4 in the same position. Yeah, it's nice. It blocks because you're gonna play. Okay, yeah, no, I know I play it one move earlier because I play G4, and if they play E5, I play G5, and I'm almost winning, and so they play
Oh,
H6, and
you
I
wait.
play H3.
So if you're talking about D6, knight b7 instead of e5 first.
Yes. Then I
Gotcha.
played
Okay.
g4. Got it.
Gotcha. Okay. I just like
Sorry
playing
about that.
g4 in all those positions.
Yeah, no, I got to pick this up as well in case I get move ordered.
Bishop e3, yeah, it's too passive. Because now black pretty much equalizes if my understanding of the dynamics of the position are correct at all. But bishop e2, a5, really nice move. You got to respond with a4 here. Yep, principled.
This is
Castle.
already just looking like a good Philidor though, almost.
Exactly.
So then, from that perspective, why not play Queen D2, Queenside Castle? But I guess
Yeah,
you've already played A4, but
yeah, but a4 usually actually helps white. Like it may seem like it gives a hook, but not really, because you got beautiful control over the square. Like it honestly might be pretty fair here.
you
So
know,
good point.
I feel like playing ED4 just like we saw um, playing that against the French, the Rubinstein earlier. It's the same kind of vibe to me. Philidor, same exchange Philidor. It's all just kind
Yeah,
of giving white free play
exactly.
because you spend that time taking a
Just ignore
pawn.
me. I'm just gonna do a few more moves.
No, keep
So
going.
while you're talking, yeah,
You spend that time taking the pawn when you could have developed a piece, and a lot of times white improves one of their pieces, recapturing the pawn you took. So
hmm
you basically make two concessions in one move, even though everything's playable.
exactly. So moving swiftly along. Um, knight takes, pawn takes, and then bishop e6. So I don't know. I wonder if it's a bit too early to go f4. Um, f4 here, and just go like say okay, because usually when I see this many pieces cramped, that's traditionally the cue to establish the grip. Like you got the positional, pieces suck, so then you got to keep them there, right? It's all about just freezing stuff. So might be a bit too early though for f4. So let's see what happens. Okay, so queen c2, connecting the rooks.
Okay.
Logical. Ooh, what about this? Just leaves a big hole in the position.
And two different pieces want to use that hole.
Mm-hmm. Hold on. Okay. Pause. Anyways, so Rook 81, very fancy. Oh no, blundered a fork. Anyways, oh that's what happened. Okay, sweet. So knight b5, knight b5, and then trying to trade this off. Ooh,
Moves his rook right into the danger.
right. That's a ballsy move. Wow. That's just saying. You know
Yeah.
what? Just keep it going. Okay.
Well, wait.
Ooh.
If you think that's ballsy, wait until you see Robert sack like a full piece, and then just continue to play the position normally with nothing else.
Oh, where he just like says, okay, well now you gotta deal with being a piece up.
Yeah, he's totally willing to sack pieces without a forcing continuation afterwards. So
That's
he
impressive.
he gets he gets out there for sure, and it does work sometimes.
Okay, let's just go. Ooh, and Robert loses in exchange, but not really. Is this what you mean by
Yeah, he just wants
that
full.
stuff?
Yeah, he just one thing Robert definitely understands is piece activity though. He definitely
Oh yeah,
never.
that's like a 3 point rook right there. So
Yeah,
that's
he doesn't think in terms of points of material. He definitely thinks in terms of piece activity, but I also think he sees a lot more of his own ideas too. Um, he's got some ideas. He's got a vision of how to get at that king, and he's trying to put it into process, and it doesn't always work out because he's not totally considering what you're going to do against his king.
all right. So reach this position. looks like there's a lot of clutter. So I'm just thinking of how to get into the dark squares because this bishop, e3 bishop, is admittedly really annoying.
Yeah.
So definitely good exchange sack. I don't see any immediate tactics here. Like I've been trying to calculate like 96, 94, but not really finding anything. So I think that the logical plan here is probably. I mean, well, actually, this pawn's just hanging with check. Never mind. What am I talking about? I'm tired.
No, I
Okay.
see. I was calculating other lines as well, and I'm also, they already stacked a bishop, and that bishop's annoying. You also could just throw a rook on e1 and get ready to take it.
Exactly. Just get it back. So.
Yeah, maybe with a little pawn interest as well.
Mm, nice. Although it's so removing it from this,
Yeah,
like that's a hard decision
yeah,
to make. Definitely not easy, but it shows a lot of patience. Um, it's got to blunder tactics, doesn't it? Although wait, I guess. Huh. I don't want to. I could sit here calculating this for a while. So let's just see what they played. Um.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Uh. Queen A3 in a minute. Okay. That's not an intuitive move, but I guess defends and pretty much says, okay, now you don't have it. So how did Robert lose this? I guess a knight's. Oh, so G3, and then what? Queen C5. Okay,
Standard.
bringing the queen in. Okay, that's how. And now that's the plan. Rook takes. Ooh, just ignore everything. What is the? I mean, the threat's pretty obviously this, right? Like doing this. So get a pawn, knight here, knight d6. Furthermore, guarding this and pressuring this. And wait, is he blunder? Look at how much time Robert has. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Sounds like it's a rapid game.
yeah. He's a speed demon too.
Jeez. So he had to have just blundered this, right? Like this is does not. Oh, and then he sacks the queen. So I see. Okay. So pretty much conversion goes on. Won a queen
Okay,
for a
so
piece.
what had what? How did he lose the queen again? I,
Blundered. So blundered this. I went knight f6. Overcorrected. Plays and then misses g5. So queen or checkmate. Your choice.
yes. Okay, and just to clarify, so queen h6 is queen f7, king h8, and because
Probably.
I see the queen's cut. I mean, I know it's almost
Oh,
done here.
well, okay. Then you just take here. Wait, hold
What?
on.
Because the queen covers the knight, and the knight and queen cover the back ring squares. Got it.
Or you just go here. Anything is fatal here. It's just over.
Yeah.
Um. Okay. Nice game. Very well done by
Good job, Ronan.
Ronan. That's incredible. Took down a beast. And now this game is also. This game is also
I believe
lay
this is
on.
gonna be open section. So I believe the next three boards are all open section. So this is the lower section.
Alrighty. So let's go through these games a bit quicker then, and then we'll go back.
Yeah,
So
I know there were some
out of the kind
fireworks on
declined.
boards 1 and 2 again too. Yeah, but let's
Yeah,
get through all
we
this.
can go back to those. So let's just go
No,
see. Okay, this is
declined then accepted.
well, this is a Scandinavian variation of it. I think it's called. Ooh, are we gonna see another one of these structures like this? So take. Ooh, Pawn takes, logical. Bishop here. Oh, and then just blunders the pawn. Okay. So drop the pawn in the opening. Looks like for nothing. Gets a really bad bishop. Black's just screwed here, right? This is just, yeah. Computer says it's already plus 1.5. Jeez.
Yep, I mean, I think you still got to play for like c5 at some point.
So, knight f3. Beautiful. Look at this. This is just domination. Bishop d2. Knight here, and then knight e4. Look, the position just plays itself. Like you just put a knight somewhere good, and then you maybe go for f5. But ooh, even better. Just probably, I think, threatening c4. Some kind of like c4, knight moves back, and then you get the dark squares.
Makes sense to me.
Oh, looks like it's happening volunteer. Is knight f6 good here? Or maybe bishop f6 is better. Or maybe you just leave the bad bishop. Like, that's entirely possible, but I feel like knight f6 is just so tempting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, knight f6 makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, you'll probably just play king h8, but
And then bishop f6 or something.
well, we just played knight f6, so we can't. Oh, got it. Move the knight first.
Yeah. So, and now both these squares are controlled. But anyways, h6, bishop f4. Ooh, I do not like the knight coming back there. I mean, what?
Seems a bit not ideal to me to just give the
Isn't that his
bishop up.
best piece?
Yeah, I would just play bishop d2, or
Yeah, but I'm more concerned about knight f4. Like, what is this?
well, I mean, you're getting attacked on the dark squares.
Alrighty. So they take and nice. Uh, I really want to play this. Then there's rook takes. That's unfortunate. Um, well, he made it work. So one wins an exchange. Uh, gets a bad rook, and I'm just sorry for going so fast. We got a few
No
more
worries.
games,
Yep, we only got 10 minutes left in
and
the broadcast. So.
it looks like after all of this, okay, black wins. What? I missed maybe a bit too fast, but ah, gotcha. So just blunders the game. Let's just move on quick to
Yep.
Nathan's other game. So yeah, this is what I'm talking about. With this same exact same G4 H4 idea. Well, now G4 H4. Bishop here, and
Yeah,
then
isn't that
this is
just?
actually a nice move
Isn't
that he
that?
plays.
Oh, got it. Okay, because I was like, isn't that a piece? But I was confused from another position.
Yeah.
No f3 there.
Exactly. A6 and now A3. Get the bishop to move, and then what? F4.
Yeah, I'm already a
No.
bit annoyed as white in this position because I want to get. I'd much rather have gotten in knight d2 c4, but because I feel like black's gonna get c5 in, and I'm not gonna have.
Yeah, but it's going to be a while for black. Gets it. Knight d7, preparing c5 and f4. Beautiful. Just they don't have time to play c5 if you're attacking them, right?
Makes sense.
So doesn't look like the king is going to castle. So beautiful. Just preventing, just restricting. So positional, tactical,
The
D6.
the forward bathtub.
Long castle. So you got a long castle, right? Like your king can't
Yeah.
stay in the center. It does. It gets mated at the end of the game, but generally, I don't know why you wouldn't just
Well, it reminds
long
me of
castle.
Carotal, and sometimes the king actually does step up to like F2, G3 and stuff. But it makes sense to castle here.
All right. And now C5. So I don't like that because now there's knight B5. Knight B5, D6, which
Yeah,
I assume is
I
what would
think we're kind
happen.
of seeing a recurring theme in a lot of games where when people make their pawn moves, they're not totally realizing the squares they're giving up. They're
Yeah,
seeing they're
that's
seeing they're moving. This pawn's going forward. I'm breaking lines open. I'm gonna get my pieces at his king, but you're not thinking, well, I just gave up this square for his pieces, that square for his pieces, and yeah, you can see Owen jumping on it over and over. Just looks so wrong when you can, because the name of the game in chess is piece activity, and giving your opponent's pieces juicy squares is not ideal.
I think yeah, like that was what pushed me into the 2300s online. Is it's such a simple thing. Like it's one of the first rules you learn in chess, but pawns can never move backwards. And I think that has influenced my chess the most because it's so true. Every pawn move matters. You're never gonna get it back. Every pawn move completely like shifts the position. And so with that mentality of like, okay, you can't take them back. You better be smart with them. Then you avoid a lot of really easy mistakes like this of what was the pawn doing before that's no longer doing. So just some food for thought.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. King f8, f5, and the pieces just arrive. So two knights hanging, a lot of files open, very tactical. What do you play? Quick little puzzle.
Yep, both knights hanging. And you also potentially, I was thinking if you could threaten mate, but the knight's covering it, so I don't know.
I mean, honestly, the question is d6 or d7.
Yeah. I mean, my intuition's d6 because I want to get at f7 next.
Agreed. I would. Nathan took on d7, but I like this just because after this, the knight gets this square. Ooh, nice move. But I just feel like, why would we give this? I guess. I mean, maybe there's no longer going to be a defender, but I'm sure there's not much of a difference.
Well, maybe
Take.
he's worried about
Yep.
dc5 and queen d5 maybe. So if we play ed7 and then no
Oh, ed7.
ed7 knight e4. Can you play?
D take.
Yeah, can you just take there and then take there next?
That makes sense. Okay. Well, spoiler. So the knight comes here. We get check. The king moves, and queen comes in, guarding this, making all sorts of threats.
Rook h8's brutal right now. You can see the downside
Oh
of
my
playing moves
gosh.
like king f8 is that's what really happens when you play king f8. It's not like your king's gonna get mated on f8. It's your rook is gonna get mated by never participating in the game.
Okay. Anyways,
But
so king h7, and now just g5, right? Just yeah. Kill the king. Queen there. G6, and resigns.
nice.
What's what's
But
the
what's the
finishing
tactic? Yeah,
blow?
yeah.
Oh, I see it. Oh, it's easy. It's not that hard. Okay.
Nice. It's still very impressive.
Yeah. No, no, that's still beautiful way to end the game. Um, but yeah, not too especially difficult of a tactic. Alrighty, and we'll go into the final game. Then we'll go back to the top two boards, and then I assume wrap it up for the night.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, Catalan. Both of us, I hope, know a solid deal about this from the white side.
Yeah. I don't know about white side, but black side, I play bishop before check here. I don't play h6.
Oh, you do Bogo
I do close Catalan, but I like bishop before check to force
and
bishop
Bishop
d2
B7.
and then bishop b7. Exactly.
I play Knight BD too with
Uh,
the white
that's
pieces.
what Matt Jensen recommends in his. Yeah, that's a good time. Here, let me just plug that quick.
Yeah.
So, oh, we lost Owen's video, but we'll just plug Chess Calls anyways. So we got a sponsor on the channel, chesscalls.com. And Matt Jensen, National Master, owns the company. He puts out opening courses, including one on the Catalan. And check out the website. You can get 30% off on any of the courses by using coupon code CASTLE. So, but yeah, Matt Jensen is, because I actually bought the Catalan course, and even though I'm an E4 player, and yeah, he definitely recommends knight bd2 as a blocker instead of bishop d2, and those are a whole different nature of positions, so still very good.
Exactly. That's as I like to play. I mean, I always come back to E4, but I really like C4 D4 Knight F3. I just play whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
I
everything under
try
the
to
sun.
change it. I try to
Moving
change it every
target.
tournament. So yeah, exactly. But no, I've always preferred the Knight BD2 systems because they're kind of cramped. But I just love the way that you can instantly play E4
Yeah.
when you do it because you're just you know getting stuff like that. H6 and then B6. That's not good. This is just not good. Not in this move order. You need to get way more solid before allowing this to happen, especially with H6. Like, ooh, none of this is good.
Yeah, h6 already feels
So
weird to me too because it's kind of slow. Like, what was the main big? What was the hope? You really care that much about bishop g5?
no, because doesn't the bishop go to F4 anyways in the Catalan? So hmm. Yeah, no, that's the who's Mitros? Never heard that name before. No,
Yeah. Well, Thomas is very underrated. Thomas is underrated. I mean, he came in unrated and just been going 4-0, 4-0. And yeah, this is the lower section, so this is not. We can't be too positionally critical, especially about opening theory.
okay. So C6, hate it. Don't mix these generally.
Yeah,
And like,
hedgehog
what about the
style.
pieces?
Yeah, yeah. I think black is really showing they're missing understanding of one core opening principle, which is, in chess dojo they say pawns aren't people. It basically means piece activity. Pawn moves in general are not development. Maybe feel like development. It feels like I'm pushing these pawns up. I'm developing my pawns, but that's not how it works. Every time you touch a pawn, yeah, not only do they not move backwards, but they have the opportunity cost of you didn't develop a minor piece and move towards castling. So you want to make the fewest pawn moves possible to get all your minor pieces developed and castle. And h6 was pointless. That didn't help you develop any pieces. You of course you got to make a few pawn moves, but you can't make this many because if white continues to develop in a positionally sound manner where they make the fewest pawn moves possible, then they're just going to be way ahead in development, and the tactics will all work for them.
For sure. Have you heard of this one line? How familiar are you with the Nimzo?
Yeah, I
With the
play.
F3 A3 Nimzo?
Yep, I'm familiar. I play the main line.
Exactly. But my favorite way of doing it is where, so Bishop B4 A3 takes. I go F3 E4 and then I just go H4 H5, and I only make pawn moves. Like my first 11 moves are just pawn moves.
And your
It's the
opponents
one
are
opening
like,
where it
"What?
works.
What is this guy doing?"
It actually works. Like I remember Jan Nepomniachtchi played it in he debuted it in I think World Rapid 2023. I could be wrong though, but I remember I saw a game of his with the white pieces and I just loved it because it just looks so stupid, but it works.
Yeah, he's
Um,
he plays King's Gambit in Raptor games. He plays Center Game. He plays all sorts of out there stuff.
Thomas. Thomas is clearly a very competent Catalan player.
Yeah,
So
I
this
feel like
is
we
this is
should
all
be seeing
beautiful.
Thomas in Premier before too long. I think as soon as he cracks 1700, he'll be joined.
Oh, he's not even 1700 yet.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure what his rating is, but it's he's unrated and he's only playing open sections, so he hasn't had too many high rated opponents to show his strength yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited for because I'm only 1800 USCF right now, but
Yeah, you
you know,
guys are in the same boat. You guys are
we're gonna
underrated,
get that
so
up.
everyone's like want to avoid. Yeah, who wants to play someone who's 2300 chess.com 1850 USCF, but not me.
Actually, just 1800, not even
Oh,
1850.
1800. Brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. So but I still have to actually play the part over the board. I still have to prove it.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes in my tournament.
Yeah,
Might
I
start
think you'll get
uploading to the
there.
channel.
So yeah, we got you on your very start streak. You can look back this when you're like title player and be like, "Oh yeah, remember when I was 1800 doing commentary?"
Yeah, I mean, hopefully by then I'll still be doing commentary. I'll just be better at the game. So, alrighty. This is terrible. Why are we going F6 F5? This is just again wasting tempo, so much time, permanent weakness. You just need to look at it to know it's bad. And there are currently a lot of time scrambles going on. So let's get through this quick. Oh, okay. So Black resigns here. Or am I missing something here?
Well, I don't know about game over. So what's the lethal tactic? Just
The rook.
positionally. Oh, got it. Yep.
It's gone. Game GG's.
You can tell I'm not. I'm getting tired. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just totally.
we're both tired.
I guess that's also why you know
He went B3 actually, which can't explain.
yeah, no, it's a blunder. I mean, it's a blunder if you don't. I blundered myself, but you got to find your forced wins.
Yeah, this throws the whole advantage, but this is pretty obvious, especially if you're a Catalan player, because you play this move in pretty much every line, even like closed, open, semi-closed Catalans, like pretty standard. So B3 disappointing to see, and then Mitch blunders the E6 pawn, and you know what do we even need to say? And blunders the bishop
Oh, come on. So he's not in it.
over the board game, 5 minutes, and blunders the bishop. I mean, maybe trapping the rook is the idea, but clearly just missed
Yeah. So one
the
one
launch
good
was flat.
one good thing that helped me in some of my over the board games because I'll make some blunders like similar to that. I mean, at my level, and blunder checks is just where it's at. So if you're finding yourself making blunders like that, you just need to mentally lock in your move, and then as a separate side process, you need to just check the checks and captures your opponent is going to make in response to your locked in move. So you go, you know what, this is what I'm going to play. I'm going to play 97. That's what I'm going to do. It's locked in. Maybe you reach your hand out to actually start to move the piece and you pull your hand back. And you'll actually see players do this very often when playing over the board. Some players do this all the time. They put their hand out and then you can tell they pause or they pull their hand back. They're blunder checking. They're saying this is my move. What are my opponent's responses that are a check or a capture, especially, you know,
Yeah,
because you never want to just hang a one move capture or a one move check because you didn't look at it. And he was probably calculating some other line for a while. He didn't spend all that time calculating 97. What probably happened is he was thinking about some other line for a while,
he's like, oh, this is trapped. Like
and
probably didn't think much further
and then
than
he was like, "Oh, my line doesn't work. I need to play something else. Okay, I'll just develop a piece." And he just played it on autopilot or whatever. Yeah,
or maybe I think that considering Queen E7 was not played instantly, you might have a point. Like that might have just been a genuine full blunder. Because I was thinking maybe 97, hoping to go for a trap. I don't know how you would miss D takes C. So
Yeah.
regardless, oh, and the games are finishing up. So this game, smooth conversion, and yeah, look at that. Ready to go back to top games?
Yeah,
See and finish
definitely.
up.
Let's see
Ooh.
how those finish. Yeah, we are running a bit
Alrighty,
over.
okay. So, I know that we missed a bit, but we'll just go to the end game because this game actually wrapped up. So let's see how Connor beat Joshua. So as we were predicting, it would liquefy. Not much here. Looked like nothing came out of the middle of the game. So, okay, standard rook endgame, f4, just shuffling. Ooh. So one of the biggest things in rook endgames is that you got to cut the king off. Like doing this, that's just a unfortunate
Just a recipe.
error.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Connor's
Like you
pretty good
gotta
at.
you gotta control.
I I played a training game against Connor the other day, and I actually sadly ended up losing 2 against 1 on the same side of the board on rook endgame. So he's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve, even if he's not objectively winning.
Yeah, for sure. No, this is I love rook endgames, which is weird, but
Well, that'll definitely take you to the next level, because that's how you can take down some strong players.
I think it already has, admittedly, at least online.
Yep.
So, um, so rook here, and then yeah, you sack the pawn. The pawn doesn't matter. I would assume Joshua knows not to take it. Smart. King e3, good technique. And yeah, pawns don't matter. That's the number one rule. Rook end games, and then this is just that's just nasty. There's there's no way to stop it now. Like maybe you can try to do this, bishop moves senna. So
Well, his king
this
looks
is
so badly placed. Like, doesn't his king have to get over to help deal with the b pawn at some point?
exactly like that's the only way to draw, but because the king's cut off, it's just the hypothetical Lucena position that the rook runs out of checks, the king does something, and then you put the rook in front. You know what I'm talking about? Like that.
Yeah.
It's like the main end game you should know. Um, oh, and this move. So
Well,
obviously he's hoping for en passant, but what if you just push?
yeah.
Thank
So
you,
what?
Connor.
And also, what about f6 earlier instead? I mean, f6. I feel like maybe,
F6.
especially instead of the rook earlier.
Um,
I mean,
I mean, honestly,
you
don't we
can't.
just
It's
ignore it?
it's it's way too late now. But I feel like, yeah, the real huge issue is the king needed to somehow get back over. But
Exactly. So,
well, I know, I can plug a book that I know Connor's read called Van Perlo's Endgame Tactics, which is very difficult endgame tactics book, and so that's clearly good for your calculation abilities. Yep.
beautiful technique. This is ooh, and
Ouch.
that's right in the final stretch. Look at the time advantage too. Yeah, you 26 minutes to figure this end game out. So, bit disappointing, but super long game. So
Yeah, and already
that's chess. And this
already
game's still
pretty
going actually. So
demoralized, probably seeing the writing on the wall.
yeah, let's watch the live end game. So looks like Eddie's gonna win.
Really? Wow.
I mean, that pawn, like, it's
Yeah,
not gonna
full
promote.
rook.
Like, you're just a clean rook up. Wait, how do you get a rook up?
Rook's the
My
rook.
brain, my brain hasn't registered. Okay, so how did we get there? I gotta know. So this is where we left off. That's one. So F3 sacks a piece for an attack. Somehow Eddie survives, and then what is going on here? I'm like, the more I look, the more confused I am. Um,
Well, Eddie did all this with 45 seconds on the clock throughout.
Yeah, yeah, it's really, really impressive. He's fast. I mean, he kind of has to be because he's so low on time all the time. But uh, can have two, and okay. So it's really, really nice technique. Bring the F pawn, and how did lose the rook though?
Yeah, the thing with Eddie is he doesn't blunder that much. Like especially in these end scenarios in a bad position, it's like you'll just keep playing the only move for a while, and then you eventually like get frustrated and play a bad move yourself.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, my game against him, there's a lot of blunders from both sides, but that's it's true for all my games. Somehow it's just luck that I find my way not on the losing end. But
But
yeah,
yeah, I think Eddie's gonna convert this. We don't need to watch the rest live.
no, it looks like he did. Looks like White won every single game except for one.
Yeah,
So beautiful, nice job by Eddie. Way to wrap it up. That was a wild middle of the game. Like I honestly might need to look over this game later, see if I can turn it into a puzzle like tactics experience or something. But no, it's great night. Lots of good games.
yeah. Thank you so much for commentating. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my honor. Had a great time. Thanks for having me on.
Perfect, and thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll be back next week
All right.
and have some more commentary for you guys.